I never thought a quiet Thursday evening could unravel my entire life, but there I was, standing in the middle of our bedroom with my suitcase half-packed and my heart shattered into pieces I didn't think could ever be mended. It all started when I returned home early from work, an unusual whim of mine, but one that would end up saving me from years of deception. The house was eerily silent, the kind of silence that immediately set my instincts on high alert. And then I heard it, the unmistakable sound of someone else's voice in our bedroom, mingled with hers, soft, intimate, and wrong in every possible way. I froze at the doorway, my stomach twisting, my mind racing, trying to convince myself it was a misunderstanding. But as I peeked through the slightly ajar door, the sight that greeted me was enough to make my world implode. My wife, the woman I had loved, trusted, and built a life with, was entwined in the arms of another man. I could see the betrayal in her eyes too, that instant flash of guilt that immediately vanished as soon as she realized I was watching. For a moment, we all just stared at each other, the room charged with tension, silence louder than any scream. I didn't say a word. I turned and walked to the bedroom closet, pulling out my suitcase with trembling hands. I wasn't sure if I was leaving in anger, heartbreak, or just the desperate need to escape a life that had suddenly become unrecognizable. My fingers fumbled with the zipper as my mind replayed every suspicious moment I had ignored, every little lie I had brushed off as inconsequential. The text messages, the late nights at work, the unexplained withdrawals from our shared account, they all suddenly made sense. And then I heard her. Her voice, panicked and trembling, calling my name. Wait. Don't go. I paused, taking a slow breath, my back still to her. I could feel her presence behind me, the room suddenly suffocating. I didn't turn around. I didn't need to. I could hear the desperation in her tone, the tremor in her words. You can't just leave like this. You don't understand. It wasn't. She stopped, her words choked by sobs. And then she screamed something I'll never forget. If you leave, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. The words hit me like a dagger. Not because they carried any threat, they didn't, but because they revealed the truth of her mind. For her, this wasn't about love, guilt, or regret. It was about control. She wanted to manipulate me into staying, to forgive her betrayal because she believed I was incapable of walking away. But this time I was different. This time, her words didn't hold power over me. I zipped the suitcase closed and slowly turned to face her. I saw the fear in her eyes, the shimmer of unshed tears, and the sudden realization that for once, I was unshakable. Regret, I said, my voice low but steady. The only thing I'll regret is not leaving sooner. She opened her mouth to speak, but no words came out. I could see the panic, the fleeting hope that somehow I would stay, that somehow we could pretend none of this had happened. But the truth was there, laid bare in her betrayal, and I refused to ignore it any longer. I walked past her, suitcase in hand, and paused at the door. I looked back one last time, not at the woman I thought I knew, but at a stranger who had stolen our life with lies and deceit. She fell to her knees, sobbing, reaching for me as if her touch could undo the damage she had done. But it couldn't. I stepped out of the room, out of the house, and out of a life that had been nothing but a facade. Outside, the cool night air hit me like a wave, and for the first time since discovering her betrayal, I felt a strange clarity. The pain was still there, sharp and raw, but it was accompanied by a fierce, liberating sense of freedom. I realized I didn't need her apology, her excuses, or even her tears. What I needed was to reclaim myself from the wreckage of a marriage built on lies. As I drove away, I couldn't help but think of all the moments I had missed, the signs I had ignored, and the love I had given to someone who didn't deserve it. But alongside the grief was a budding sense of empowerment, a recognition that I could survive this, that I could rebuild from the ashes. Her words, "You'll regret it for the rest of your life," echoed in my mind, but instead of fear, they fueled determination. If anything, she would be the one to regret everything, the one who had thrown away a life, a love, and a man who once would have stayed through anything. I had been strong enough to walk away, and walking away was the ultimate revenge. By the time I reached the city streets, the weight on my shoulders had lifted slightly, replaced with resolve. I knew the road ahead would be lonely and painful, but it would also be mine. Mine to navigate without betrayal hanging over me, mine to reclaim the dignity and self-respect she had tried to take from me. I didn't look back. I didn't answer her calls or texts. And as the miles stretched between us, I realized that sometimes, leaving is the most powerful choice you can make. Not out of anger, not out of spite, but out of self-preservation, out of love for yourself when others have failed to love you the way you deserve. That night, I packed more than just my suitcase. I packed away the illusions, the heartbreak, the lies, and I left them behind. And though her screams still haunt me, the memory of my own strength is louder, guiding me forward into a future that I will define on my own terms. Because in the end, betrayal can break you, or it can set you free. And I chose freedom.